of what Dr. Gamini is all about. I would now like to invite the gentleman who wrote the foreword for the book, Desamania MDD Pires, who's the chairman of IIT.
Gamini and Janaki, our author and Shihara, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I've had the privilege of reading this book from cover to cover, and now I have been punished by asking to say what are called a few words of a 462-page book within 5 to 10 minutes. I shall try. What struck me was this. I have known Gamini for, well, maybe over 25 years now, and I thought I knew him. But when I finished reading the book, I realized that I knew very little about him. And I discovered huge areas of achievement, activity and achievement, which certainly I didn't know, and I'm sure practically, I don't know whether the family knew. Probably he himself had forgotten. And so it was a discovery for me. And I would ask Gamini really to read this book carefully himself. Because, for a very good reason. At the end of it, you might wonder, did I really do all this? Did I really act like this? Because the point is, when you do things, particularly at your high professional level, the momentum keeps you going. There is no time to reflect and dwell on what you are doing. You just keep going from maybe sometimes crisis to crisis, but you are all the time managing, all the things are coming at you. Right? But in the meantime, you have to find also room for some kind of reflection, thought and planning. But that's not about you. That's about the enterprises and your corporate responsibilities. So really, you may yourself not know yourself. So you might need to revisit. And the book can be a launching pad for, shall we say, the next 15 years of what you want to do. So that's the first point I want to make. The second point is what really comes out of this book. Unfortunately, I don't have much time, but for me, certain things were virtually unbelievable because certainly he is a maverick because he is very unconventional in his, not in a reckless kind of way, but in seeing and grasping opportunities. Obviously, he was a very hard worker, there was no doubt about it, but hard work for him was not a process, a drudgery. Hard work was always, that's what the book reveals, was directed towards some goal or achievement. Very often, he had a basic time frame in mind. That is one aspect that came. It's not merely hard work. Hard work to a purpose. Then, another thing that comes out of the book is his quick vision and grasp of an opportunity. Now, there's a saying of somebody that when opportunity knocked, he complained of the noise. Now, Gamini knocked on opportunity. You get many examples of that. He didn't wait for opportunity to knock. He created the opportunity. So that's another remarkable thing that comes out of this book. Thirdly, what comes out is sheer audacity. I would almost say breathtaking audacity. And I'll just give you one example. In his early days, because if I just talk like this, you may not understand, but on the other hand, I don't want to tell you too much about the book, because you must read and discover for yourself. But this example I must give, because otherwise you may not understand what I mean by breathtaking audacity. He was a young man, not married. He was in, I think, England at that time, studying. Money was scarce, obviously. Only limited amounts could be sent from Ceylon at that time. And at one stage, he was in desperate need of some job, some employment. And he was covering the papers and so on and so on. And finally, he found something one day, a vacancy for a forklift driver. And he applied. Now, why I say breathtaking audacity is, up to that time he had never got into the seat of a forklift, apart from driving a forklift. And here in England, he applies for the job of forklift driver. Well, he was interviewed, and I think something the British gentleman who interviewed him must have, he must have been an experienced person, because he must have felt something in this young man which was attractive and might really meet with his requirements. And he was virtually hired, but he said, please come to my warehouse because I want you to, get onto the forklift and sort of demonstrate. Naturally, the employer would like to know that. Now, Gamini had not got him even to seat of a forklift. Now, how is he going to tackle this? Be like one of these mystery novels when you read it. Anyway, confidently he managed to. He obviously found his seat. He got in the forklift, fiddled about a little bit with some of the gears or whatever the forklifts have, and told him, sir, no, I have to be very careful. I should not damage your forklift or anything, because in Ceylon the forklifts are quite different. I need maybe 3-4 days training on this, and just to be, I have to be very careful with this forklift. Now the point is that created an even better impression of him. Here was a very responsible young person who wanted training, because he had, of course, he was a forklift driver. He had known all about forklifts, but this is a different forklift from those in Ceylon, and he therefore wanted training. He gladly approved training. So Gamini was trained at his cost, at the employer's cost. He acquired a skill, right, a scholarship on forklift driving, and then he performed. This is another skill that comes out from the book that he has, that he is very quick to catch on to something and produce and deliver. It got to such a thing that ultimately when he wanted to leave his job, the owner nearly pleaded with him to stay on. So I was wondering if this man could have applied for vacancy to fly a plane without ever having a pilot's license, and he might have found some way to get trained and fly a plane. So that is why I say sheer. I can't think of anybody whom I have known in my life who would have had what's called the chutzpah, sheer audacity to do a thing like that and not only get away, upgrade his skills and experience, earn money, and also performed to the satisfaction of the owner to such an extent that you were reluctant to let him go. So there are many things like that. And I would really want you to read this book. There are other things, but time does not permit me. But one thing outside his professional life, he, as usual, acted when people were in distress and appealed to him for help, or when he saw real distress. There again, he didn't mull over. He assessed quickly and moved. And when others might have taken a month or two to ponder what to do and so on, he, in all matters, including this kind of charitable and humanitarian matters, he had, that's what the book reflects, had the ability to quickly assess, move, contribute, so that the person felt tangibly the weight of that resistance. So I think all in all, this is very special. It's not common. I'm not saying this just to saying it. And mind you, this Savitri Rodrigo, this is a very, very well researched book. So that's why I say, even Gamini may not have realized that he has these qualities. That's why it's time for him to sit back more quietly and reflect and go forward on the basis of the reflection. Then, of course, I think Savitri and others have already mentioned about his, I don't have to repeat. I mean, he has been computer expert, engineer, agriculturist, education pioneer in bringing high quality British education to Sri Lanka with Manchester Metropolitan, now with Westminster, University of Westminster, Robert Gordon, all that, 30 odd years now of that, or 28 years, I don't know, I can't remember. Right. All that is still going on and still pushing the boundaries. Still, thank heavens, it's an unfinished journey. And so that is going on. Then agriculturist, then a banker, financial analyst. I mean, he is multi-skilled. And probably he also does not realize that. That's why he must read this book, right? So that's that part of it. And I must, in passing, just say, book is not, whilst obviously it is a biography of Gamini, Savitri had the great skill of making it a very, very rich experience for the reader with great color and attraction and liveliness, bringing into the book his friends, his classmates, his colleagues, his business contacts, and so many other things of various strata of society. And so it's a lively, vibrant book, thanks to the skill of Savitri in bringing these things to lively introduction for any reader. And in that are also very quick vignettes, not vignettes really, I would say underlying but visible presence of the family. That is Janaki and the children. Now, of course, any wife, Janaki or anybody also, I think, Gamini, you have been in Britain for a long time, and there is the British saying that no man is a hero to his wife and his butler. Sri Lankans, we are a bit lucky because we don't have butlers, so we are not a hero only to our wife. So, but what comes out about Janaki is that she has been the silent stabilizer in the family. It comes out, not in so many words. And her good judgment, common sense, and the stability she gave to the family is coming out if you read this book carefully. And the children, finally. Of course, they are different. First of all, they'll argue with themselves, then collectively they'll argue with their parents. And that is the richness of life. And of course, they will be different. The children won't be the same. And that comes out. And almost finally, I must say, I won't, because I can't take enough more time. This was best encapsulated in the difference in the same family of children by one of my senior professional friends who has 3 daughters. One day I asked him, how are your children? How are they faring? He said, the elder one is turned 21 or something and she is in university. She is doing very well. But she works very hard, spends long hours studying, but she had achieved. She achieved quite he didn't say excellence, but she had achieved a great deal. So I said, fine. What about the second one? Second one, he says, has achieved the same as her sister, but with half the effort. Now see the 2 children. This one, achiever. She has achieved, and she is achieving. Second one, younger by 2 years or something, has achieved the same level as a sister, but with half the effort. Then I said, now tell me about the third. He said the third is 16 and she is a thug. I said, what? So she is a thug. I said, what do you mean by that? Well, she is tough. She is onto sports, painting and things like that, different from her sisters. Not bad in her studies, but not up to those standards of her 2 elder sisters. But the 2 elder sisters wouldn't dare to cross her path. Why? She's a thug. 16 years. So see, what a wonderfully lively, different family. The color and the vibrancy and so on of a family. So all that, in a way, comes out in this book. So I must really compliment Savitri also for her obviously very hard work researching all this and bringing this out. It's very readable, and my only fear is that this will adorn some dead coffee table and will not be read. Now that will be a very great disservice to the country. I don't know how you get people to read anymore. Like everybody is looking at something like this all the time, noses buried, whether they are walking, sitting, standing or sleeping. And I can't see anything being read. And this is now coming out in some of the other places I am still unfortunately forced to be involved in. And the worst thing is there is a very great poverty in writing, because it's axiomatic that if you don't read, you can't write. So that issue has now, I don't know what we can do, but that is there. But I would make, because this is such a rich book which should be read, not because of Gamini, because of what it relays by way of what solutions-oriented work ethic is, and attitude. And attitude, because attitude is a huge issue in Sri Lanka. And with illustrations. I hope, I don't know, Savitri and anybody who is involved in this project, I would very much like if a paperback is brought out, because this book might be expensive and is actually really physically you need some strength to carry it. It's very heavy, right? That might also put off readers, right? Can you get a paperback done at some stage? But more than in English paperback, can we get a sensitive translation of this into Sinhala? Tamil if possible, but certainly Sinhala to begin with, because this book must be read by young people. So thank you very much, and Gamini, and also finally I must also thank Tishani because I've been in touch with her, borrowing her so many times on this book from time to time, and she was always very quick to respond and very caring, and when I couldn't get at her, she called me back quickly, and it was a pleasure working with her. And Shehara, of course, had been right from the start, as far as I know, but there must be many more others. And with my apologies to them and my blessings to everybody, thank you very much.